YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We've got another amazing unboxing. This unboxing is gonna be a little bit weird because the packaging is tape around the package. So you really can't tell what it is. Come give them a close up. Of course, I've covered up the labels. Pretty sure you can tell what it is. I'm glad this wasn't a gift. So anyway, guys, what we're gonna do is, along the lines of the gift ideas, I want to show you one other cool gift idea. This is a completely ready to fly plane, and it's got 6, just like the XK helicopter lineup. It's got 6-axis gyros, and it's supposed to have some leveling capability. So we're gonna see if it works, but we're also gonna fly it. And of course it's gonna be available to fly for those of us who know how to fly, and it's small. And so you're probably thinking, you know, small is not very cool, right? And I totally disagree. Small is awesome. Give them a shot of the UMXs real quick. I love UMX planes. The Ultra Micros from Horizon are great. This is great. Small planes are awesome. I love them. And it's one of my favorite aspects of this hobby. And if you could go into a time warp and listen to me in my excitement with the small planes, because I remember as a kid I asked for a small plane that I could fly inside the house, and of course my parents thought it was not. Okay, so unpackaging is going to be a little bit lame today though, because as you can see, this is just taped. Okay, so I need to thank Banggood for sending this out for review. I'm going to have a link in the description below. Check it if you want to buy one. You can also use this as an example of whether or not the thing is going to get there in one piece. And by the way, this is from XK. Like I said, normally I would show you the package, but they've taped all over it, which is really not big thumbs up, but let's see if this comes off. Oh, so if you were wanting to keep the package, oh yeah, okay, well, maybe what I'll do is I'll peel off this stuff just to show you what type of damage to expect. Okay, well, it's coming off and it's not peeling off all the finish. That's one of the biggest values that you get with some of these small products like this, is that you can actually carry it in a case. And so I have this back here too, the one we just did the other day for the UMX Vapor Light. This thing is super delicate, so the box is almost an essential if you're going to take it with you anywhere. And it's one of the only UMXs where you can stick it in with landing gear. This thing is the same way. You can take it apart and you can actually put it back in the box easily, and I believe it's toolless. So we're going to confirm that today. And what we're going to do is we're going to pause it. I'm going to peel all this stuff off so you can see what the package actually looks like. 3 hours later. It wasn't quite that bad. Okay, so this is the A800. Okay, as you can see, it's a radio controlled airplane. It comes with the transmitter. Everything in the box that you need to fly. Everything you need in a box to fly a successful. Which I think it's kind of like a-linear. It's not linear. It's a big rule for successful. All right, so open up the lid, and you've got a nice foam package. Everything should get pushed out just fine. Oh, I'm upside down. I already lost a wing. And just listening, I heard some rattling on the way from China, and it did make me a little nervous. There's these are cardboard pieces. It looks like cardboard clips from when they built the box. I'm gonna throw those in the garbage. Oh yeah, baby, look at that. That is beautiful. Give them a close-up shot. Give them a close-up shot so they can see it.
Wait, not that close.
That thing actually looks really nice. It's flexible. That's good for beginners. It's not good for somebody that's gonna like wail on it. Little plug here. Oh man, that's so cute. Oh, it's so cute. It's even got a Christmas theme. Winter theme. And then there's some tape here. Looks like some tape to hold this on there. I'm not really sure why that is. I'm gonna just take and, whenever I see tails like this, guys, it makes it really hard to peel it clean. So if I can get them, I grab them off of there. And I do the same thing when I'm using my tape dispensers on repairs. Okay, so clearly that is going to go into the wing here, okay? The fuselage. Ooh, that is so dainty. It's 100% ready to fly. maybe it's just a little bit. 95% ready to fly. Folding prop, that's awesome. We'll see if they actually have a braking mechanism on there. This looks like, okay guys, look at this motor. It looks like it's a brushed motor, but I honestly am not 100% sure. It sure looks like it's brushed, okay? The way I can tell it's a brushed motor is because there's 2 wires and there's a capacitor on it. So that's unfortunate, but you know what? This thing is pretty small. Let's compare it real quick to one of the UMX planes. So this thing is awesome. I'm just saying, you could probably fit a brushless motor in there if you wanted. And to be perfectly honest with you, it's probably not going to need, when you get a sailplane like this, you don't get it to fly fast. You get it and you shut the power off, and then you fly and you glide. Ooh, protected well. Oh man, that is a gorgeous little wing. That is really pretty. Look at this. Let's give them a close-up shot of the winter decals. Not really sure why they're wintry, but I mean, it is winter, so I cannot tell what brand the servo is. It looks like it's possible it could be an Emax. Looks like 3 hole positions on the aileron. Ailerons are on the wing. They only put 1 wing in a sleeve. I'm not really sure why they chose to do that instead of 1 in each. But to be honest with you, I don't see any damage on these things. And that is one sweet looking winglet. The molds are getting so much better, guys. Look at this. Look at this. See? Look at this. Look at this. Guys, it's not going to break when you crash. Unless you crash just right. So now that I've said that. Okay, look through, guys. You see any carbon fiber? Do you see any carbon fiber? I don't. Yeah, there is some here.
Well, oh, yeah.
So there's only a small piece of carbon fiber. So now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, that thing's going to flex like crazy. If you're thinking that to yourself, this probably isn't the plane for you. But here's the thing. This thing is going to go together really easy. You've got basically a couple of clips. See how this stuff goes in there? You just align these like so. And then look at that. It's got the dihedral in there. It's got the sharklets, not winglets. You can call them sharklets or winglets, whatever you want to call them. I call them sharklets when they do this. We've got 2 aileron plugs that we're going to have to plug in. That's probably going to be a Bearcat, actually. Charger, battery, and it does come with a screwdriver. It appears to be a Phillips screwdriver. Of course, you have to provide your own USB power, which, you know, to be honest with you, when you run an international company like HK and your target audience is all over the world, you know, how do you provide a universal power plug? You know, that's one of the reasons why these guys are putting out these USB plugs like this. This is a 2S balance charge plug, okay? Which is pretty awesome that it comes with the battery. Okay, so this is a 300 milliamp hour, 22.22 watt hour, 7.4 volts. So what that tells you is that we don't know what C rating it is. You could deduce that from the amount of watt hours. But in this case, it's 2S, which stands for 2 cells in series. Show them this. So that's how you charge these batteries. There's 2 little batteries that are plugged plus to minus and then plus to minus, and they just bump into each other, and you pull the leads off. And that puts them in series. So instead of having 3.7 volts, you have 3.7 times 2. So they don't just make a longer flight time, and it's the same voltage, they make more power for the shorter flight. Okay, that's what a 2S means. Not 2 cells, 2 in series. That's why it's S and not C. Okay, so this battery will fit up here. It's going to be very obvious where it goes. There's even little clips here to hold the canopy on. That is a really nice looking plane, actually. It's very well built for being a small airplane. So probably what you'll do is you'll stick it in like this, okay? And then you'll get your wires terminated as necessary. We'll probably check them. Now listen. I believe it's going to click. Yeah, it's just a click. You may have to kind of squish it a little bit to get it in there. Okay, so it's got a positive seat. I mean, that thing was loose when I pulled it out of the packaging, but I think it's going to work well. That looks really sharp. Oh, yeah, you don't want to put your propeller into the cavity there. That does make it a little harder. There's a total of 3 screws here. One long black, one long silver, and then one short black. And what that's going to be is the 2 black ones are going to penetrate the wing. So, oh, there's one more thing in here, guys. I almost missed it. There is a replacement folding prop. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
That is really awesome. In line with the other HK models, these come with extra props. This comes with extra props. What's the first thing to break on a plane when you're a beginner? The prop, okay?
Hey, is there something on the bottom side of that box?
Uh-oh.
Yes.
There is. It's the transfer. I was going to say, where is the
Glad you
transfer?
didn't throw that on the floor.
I was thinking about throwing it across.
I know
the
you
room.
were. That's why I said it.
Okay, so this one, hold on. It's a little bit more challenging to get this out. Now, keep in mind, guys, this thing is dinky. You're probably thinking, oh, it'll be easy to just throw that in the car and go. Sure. Problem is you put these little dinky planes in the car, and you gotta like stick them somewhere so they don't shift around and get damaged. Which you'll think I'm nuts when I say this, but this thing flying along, if you're new to flying and landing in the grass, there's almost no energy that's exerted on any one part of this. But if you're in a car and you take a sharp turn and it slides off your dash, you're gonna break it. So just be ready, be prepared, especially if you're a noob, okay? So this thing's gonna stick in there. This is gonna stick on top of it. We've got a rudder servo and an elevator servo. Don't know which one's which. And then they've got a little plastic O-ring that holds onto them. So really pretty high quality, super, super fine threads on there. So you can make your adjustments by just spinning these. That's really nice because if you look at these servos in here, there's 2 servos here. And you can see the antenna there. This is a multi-purpose board. And so those 2 little servos, you can actually change the position so that the linkage has more output or less output. In this case, it's in the more output side of things to begin with. So we'll pause it, we'll reset, and then we'll go ahead and finish the build, and then we'll hopefully get a flight for you right now. Okay guys, so I just noticed something while we were resetting. Evidently, everything you need to fly is kind of loose terminology over there in China mainland, because there's kind of this one little spot here. Pretty sure you need something like 4 AA batteries. Again, you know, it might have been lost in, you know, language limbo. They thought they were telling the truth. I'm not really sure. But we're just gonna go with, oh, it's so fancy. I'm gonna turn that off for now. You guys get to see that later. I don't know if this is Futaba fast like those are. I'm almost certain it's not 2.4 gigahertz DSM-X or DSM-2. This is just a regular run-of-the-mill charger. The only complication is this thing, the charger calls for a 5 volt at 2 amp, and this is only 5 volts at 1 amp. This is an old crappy charger. Typically, slower charge rates are going to be a good thing, especially for a cheap charger like this. Now, the cool thing is about this particular battery style is that if you have the right plug for this, you can balance charge them on a charging setup like what I've done here. I've got some videos in my non-plane videos playlist that will show you how I set up this configuration. I have 2 different chargers. I can charge up to 6 batteries on each of my balance chargers. These little suckers, they take forever to charge on the HK equipment, but we're gonna go ahead and plug it in. And the way you do it is you basically plug, this is the balance charge plug, this is the discharge plug, so you plug that into the plane. So we're just gonna do this in the order we would do it if we were flying it, which we are, okay? And then I'm just gonna plug it into my wall outlet here. There's a red light and a green light that comes on, and the green light is flashing, it's a heartbeat. So I assume that when that heartbeat stops, it must be done, or maybe it'll go solid. At any rate, we're gonna figure that out in the instructions, but it'll be charging while we're working. Keep in mind, this is a lithium polymer battery, it's a LiPo. LiPos can be dangerous if you really are reckless with them. If they start getting fat, that means they're probably not worth keeping unless you don't mind starting a small fire. And when I say a small fire, I say that literally. It's not gonna like burn the house down if it's on top of your countertop. It'll stink the room up. If you got little kids and stuff, that lithium gas will get released. So you need to be careful about that. You're supposed to keep, you know, in the area while they're charging. Don't charge it overnight on your carpet floor. If you're in an apartment or something like that, just put something out so that it'll catch. If this thing gets hot, so it doesn't catch something on fire, be careful, because these things are the most dangerous part of this. That and the prop. Running the prop, cutting your hands is really the biggest thing. Running into yourself while you're flying, you're probably not going to hurt yourself unless you hit your eye hole, okay? And by the way, we are going to weigh this to see if it's below 0.55 pounds for those of you U.S. customers. And anybody who knows the know before you fly, you have to include the weight of the battery. And I'm just going to weigh this real quick. Obviously, you don't need the transmitter, the packaging doesn't matter. It's just the stuff that's going to be in the air. So let's just weigh it real quick. I'm going to switch over to ounces. I'm going to put it so the camera woman can see. I'm just going to put each of the individual components. Now, 0.55 ounces is very light, okay? But this plane is very light, okay? As you can see, I'm just balancing it. And then with the battery. And then we've got 3 screws over here. I don't even know if all 3 of these are going onto the plane, but I can tell you right now it's not going to put it over. Okay, it's not going to put it over. As you can see, with this, even this one last screw here, this plane weighs 4 3/4 ounces. Okay, yes, I know that's in ounces, and you guys are like, just give it to us in grams. Okay, so what is that? 125 grams. Okay? So everybody understands something. Know before you fly. Go there, learn what's legal, because we all love to have a hobby that requires the federal government's permission. So anyway, this doesn't require any registration, but you probably still technically have to follow all the rules that they arbitrarily came up with this week without congressional authorization. Except they did get that. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in, get it charging again, and turn this off. So if you get this for your kid and you don't want to have legal problems, just fly in a safe place and do it carefully. If you really want to get down to the brass tacks, you should go fly in a club, but don't ask me about that. All right, so the instructions for this are here. They're in English, and they have some Chinese lingo in here too. I'm not going to be able to read that to you. This is 3D 6G. You can switch between 3D modes and 6G modes. Okay, 6G is like their stabilization / leveling, helps you fly. It makes it easier to fly. Can't read any of this. This says it's suitable for beginners and expert enthusiasts. I wouldn't consider myself an expert, but I would consider myself somewhat of an experienced pilot. Oh my goodness.
And definitely enthusiastic.
I am enthusiastic. Okay, so this tells you about the parts and how they're assembled in case you have to replace parts. This tells you about batteries. Don't use those batteries. Okay. So this just tells you kind of how it goes. It looks like there's a screw. The one screw might actually be used for...
Prop?
Yeah, there's 3 screws here, guys, and I'm laying them here because that countertop makes them disappear. One of them may be used with our spinning prop. Okay, so just be aware of that. And then this tells you the installation procedure. Okay, slide the left wing fasteners together and slide them. Ensure the 3 fasteners are snapped at the same time. Connect the 2 wing servos on the wing plug set of the fuselage. They are keyed. They're not going to be hard to do. And the only reason don't cut this open or use scissors or poke it or use, what is this? Why would
tweezers.
you? Tweezers.
Just for fun.
Electrified tweezers. And don't set it in fire. Guys, seriously, like I said, the most dangerous part about this plane is this thing. If you crash it and it burns on somebody's roof, it will not damage your roof. I guarantee it. You could probably put 50 of these on my roof, catch them on fire, and I would laugh with you. It's not going to hurt the roof, okay? So don't freak out. Just, you're probably going to lose the battery by the time you get it back, okay? Don't freak out. Okay, look at this, guys. See, there's a drawing. It shows you plug this one to that and that one to that, and then you tuck those wires in. Okay, so just read that real quick, hon.
Mm-hmm, got it.
Okay, you want to get
Good.
that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This tells you the direction of... Okay, so mode 1 is Asian, and then mode 2 is European. Okay, so I'm assuming we got the European. Okay, so the antenna's in the same place, regardless. Okay, so normally a mode 2 would be elevator, aileron, which rolls the airplane. So this pulls up on the tail. It makes the nose go up or down. So that'd be nose up, nose down. Then this would be yaw, so it'd be the rudder. And then the throttle is on this side, so you'll notice it doesn't return to where it would have been. These are spring loaded, and this is spring loaded, okay, for those of you noobs out there. All right. So it looks like there's one screw down on the bottom that goes up, and then 2 screws that go down. Okay, so yeah, so like we discussed, okay, so the wind direction, you're supposed to launch it at 5 degrees. Okay, so let's just demonstrate 5 degrees. Okay, so, all right, ready? 0 degrees. 5 degrees.
Thanks for the clarification.
All right, now we're done with the manual. That was really helpful, actually. So what we're gonna do is we're basically gonna assemble this right now, and it's gonna work really easy. Okay, there's holes here. There's 3 holes, and then there's holes here, okay? There's 3 holes on this control horn. So what you have to do is once you get alignment, you have to figure out which one's which. So it's pretty evident that the rudder is gonna be controlled by this one because it goes up high, okay? And I'll show you how to do this. This thing just clips in like this, just with pressure. It goes through that hole, and then the other hole is reserved for this one to stick in, okay? This is, I think this is just taped in. I think it's supposed to stay in there. It's a guide for this metal that goes by, and it also holds it down into the fuse, okay? So that's all the more you do. And then you throw that screw in there. So you take, there's one that's smaller. That's the one that goes in the back, okay? So you just find this hole and you just ram it in the hole. Phillips. Where's the Phillips?
It's over there.
Right here.
Still
waiting for my rope.
Hilarious.
That was pretty good. Okay, so notice I've had a problem getting my hole rammed properly. So now I had to hold this down while I start the screw. Honestly, one of the easiest tail assemblies I've ever done in my life right here, okay? Only easier way is when they come built. Okay, so now let's look at this. There's a little ring of like rubber or plastic here.
Close to. Okay.
So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to take, and you'll notice this is sort of almost like spring-loaded plastic here because of that ring. You can slide that back if you want, but it's so delicate. And I'm sorry guys, it might be a little bit tough to see this. I'm gonna try to make it. Okay, so you see how it's not kind of reaching yet? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this thing bound up and ready to fly before we actually hook these up, because you can see the servos are not in their neutral position, meaning like this, okay? So you could move them like that, but I don't know where the home position of this servo is gonna be. That means when the power's on and it's neutral, according to where the sticks are, I wanna make sure that that little linkage comes out to where I wanna line it up, okay? So now, we're just gonna do the same thing here, make sure these things don't throw to a weird position, okay? So I'm gonna hold this upside down for your sake, guys. Oh, geez. They have 2 plugs, and they are not indicated which one's which. You're probably thinking to yourself, how do I figure that out? You don't need to figure it out. It doesn't matter. Either way, okay? If it's wrong, you may have to reverse it. I don't think we're gonna have to do that though. So there's a void on the top and then a flat on the back, and then there's a little keyhole there, okay? So what you want, dang it, my wings fell apart. So you basically want it to go like that. Can you see that, hun?
Yeah, sort of.
Okay, so if it doesn't go, don't force it. Don't just ram it in, okay? You gotta gently stick it in. Okay, ready guys? So you see this? If you're doing it backward, it's gonna hurt. Okay, so these here, you wanna, okay, trick of the day, guys. Give it a twist, maybe 2. And what that'll do is that'll tidy up the wires, because you don't want those to interfere with those servos. Obviously, it's gonna be sticking into this cavity. And like I said, once you've rammed it in there, there's no getting it out. Okay, the other thing too, you wanna watch out for this. Those servo wires need to be helped along to stay in their crevasse, okay? Okay, so it's in. That's why I hate taking these things apart, even though this thing would totally be take apartable. It's still a pain in the neck, okay? There's just no getting around it. Would you want to have to do that every time you get to the flight field?
No.
The flight field?
No.
I wouldn't either. Okay, so I ran the long one into the front, and then I ran the short one into the back. And then we're just gonna tighten these up, it'll be no big deal. This screwdriver is actually working great. I'm surprised. Sometimes these little Chinese screwdrivers suck. And you know what's kind of cool about this is they have a little you know, like if you want to get your socket, you can get your socket out here and you can run whatever metric size that is. What is that, like 9 millimeters, 8 millimeters, something like that. You can stick that on there and just like use your ratchet so it's easier. Those ailerons are cool. Full length, almost full length ailerons. And why is that cool for those of you who know me? I'm waiting for your answer.
Flaps.
Yeah, flaperons, but still. Oh, that is gorgeous. I really like the way it looks. It looks really good. For being a little plane, that's cool. That is really cool. And you see this thing? It just wants to go to its neutral position because there's no inertia, there's no centripetal force that's holding centrifugal force. There's none of that trying to happen because you didn't just let off the throttle. My expectation is that the magnets will neutralize this and those things will pull back even without braking. Active braking means that the motor is told to hold still. You can do that with a brushless motor. You can't necessarily do that with a brushed motor unless you run it in reverse, which I'm not doing that. That thing looks really nice actually. You want to make sure things are somewhat aligned here. It almost looks like it's kind of kicked over a little bit, like it's going to go that way, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so watch a trick, guys. Look at this. Watch this. You see what I just did? Watch this. Is it aligned the wrong way now? Just say yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Very much.
So you see what's cool about this is look how perfect that is now. Can you guys tell?
Looks better.
How long did that take? I know my video just took like 20 minutes, but still that took me 3 seconds. Again, explaining this to people takes longer than actually doing it. I could have done this in 5 minutes if I was alone. But I want to share my experience with all you guys. So, flashing lights still happening. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to be smart fellers and not idiots. Come here. Let's look at this. So this is a battery tester. The thing that's nice about this is a Hextronics connector, an HX balance charger, an HX2S balance charge. And so you can plug in a battery alarm. 8.16, so we got 4.09 on one, and we have 4.07 on the other. Or, yeah, 9 compared to 7, so that's not too bad. That's pretty balanced. Also, I would fly it on that, because this thing is not going to take very much power, even the way I fly it. So, pull it off. You just pull up. You don't have to release any buttons or anything. Now we're going to go into the binding process, okay? I don't remember seeing any binding process, do you?
No.
Okay, turn on the radio system. You always start with the radio system on. Why? Because you don't want this thing to just like take off in your living room, unless you're me. Okay, so you see a little picture of an airplane. It says CH4 50%. I have no clue what that means. Like 50% what? Like 50% as cool as it could be? I don't get it. Maybe that's my battery charge on the batteries. That would suck. That means that those brand new AA's are at 50%. Wow. Okay. All right, guys. Red to red, black to black. You cannot stick it in the wrong way. If you do, you'll be in trouble. Just trust me. Hold this thing level. Hold it level. And now I just need to figure out how to bind it. Oh, buddy, it's already bound. Oh, that's so cool. Yep, linkages are all moving. This is definitely a mode 2 transmitter setup for us. Boy, that thing hums loud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, a little disconcerting. Just so you guys know, when I fly this thing, I'm going to take and fly it with one of my smaller voltage alarms like this. It doesn't show the voltages, but it'll still give me an alarm when we hit a certain level. And the reason I do that is because I don't have to depend on timers, especially for a first flight. So that's just going to go to red when they're bad, okay? The other thing too is, did they have CG marked in that book? I think they might have.
I don't know.
You remember that book I threw on the floor
Yeah.
earlier?
Do you want me to go find it?
Violently threw on the floor?
Yes.
Lazily?
Yes.
That one?
Do you want me to get it?
I
While
think
you're
it's right behind me.
Fighting that?
That alarm is maybe a little bit too big
I know.
for this plane, because I
Here.
can't hardly ram it in.
I'm getting the book that you threw over here on the floor. Yep.
Thank you, Karen, for
Sure. That's what I'm here for.
picking up books off the floor
Yeah.
that I violently threw behind me like a lazy
And
sloth.
apparently, like, not
Yes.
vacuuming our floor. Okay.
See this?
Yeah.
That did ram in there just fine, guys. It fit tight.
I know, but it looks awfully big.
Well, I know.
Huh?
All right, so we're looking for the CG, guys. CG. Oh, there isn't a CG. Are you kidding me, guys? So what is a CG, guys? CG is center of gravity. Hey, hon.
Yeah.
Did you film up here?
Oh, sorry. I was reading.
So CG is probably somewhere in here. I don't know if it's probably super critical on this plane. Let's just say 2/3 from the back or 1/3 from the front. Is it marked in the wing? Auto leveling. Awesome. Okay, don't forget to hook up your linkages.
That would be
okay?
bad.
Don't throw this without those hooked up. You'll crash. To be honest with you, it almost feels like it needs a little bit of nose weight. That's surprising. We're just gonna do it like this. So let's hook these up and then let's go out and throw it in the air. It's gonna be awesome. So, hon, can you shoot from this side so I can support this on the counter? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just, this is neutral, okay? So as you can see, when I move the stick, it moves the rudder, or it would be moving the rudder. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab this and I'm gonna try to find a hole, but I need to actually, I'm gonna screw this in to bring it back to neutral a little bit. Looks like that's probably gonna be about right. I want the maximum deflection. Did you see anywhere in there that said like what hole to stick it in?
No.
Okay, so it's kind of like other parts of life. You just got to figure out which hole works, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, very good. So we got it in. Yeah, I need to, okay, let's show them what I'm fixing.
Yep.
Okay, look, right here. You see how this veers off? Mm-hmm. Just hold still, that's fine. See how it veers off like this? We're gonna actually fix that. Obviously it's working, so you could probably do that. Oh man, that thing is kind of sticky. Do you notice that? See how it's not quite going back to home position? Maybe we're okay. Let's see how it flies first.
Okay.
Then this one's the elevator, okay? So obviously it's gonna be, I think we'll just go to the innermost hole. That's gonna give us the maximum deflection capability. And deflection, of course, is the amount that it moves. It's trying to level the plane, so that's why it moved to the end. So we are just gonna put it all the way on the inside. Han, did that make any sense to the average user?
Yeah, probably. It's just hard to see what you're doing. I'll try it over here.
You know what I meant, but
I know what you
listen
meant.
to this crap all the time.
I do.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on, get in the hole. Stick it in, there it is. These things are a little bit challenging to get in for up, down. Okay, so I'd rather have just slightly too much trim up. The other thing is, look at this, guys. It's trying to level it to there, okay? Not to here, to there. Partly because when I energized the circuit, it was in this position because it was tipped on the countertop. So I'm gonna show you how to resolve that problem. Pull off your canopy, pull your battery up so you can get to just the plug, and then I'm gonna find something right now that will hold this level. You want it level, okay? You need to have it level, especially if you're a beginner, because this plane is gonna attempt to come back to a level condition. So I think I'm gonna grab this, something that fits, and we're gonna stick this under one wing. Stick it under one wing, stick something on top of it. Does that look about level to you? I might
More than it did before.
There you go. And now it's pretty much perfectly level. That will be the fatal flaw for somebody, okay? So please listen to that. Now I'm plugging this in and waiting. Hands off. Okay, I gotta stick it all in. Okay, it's done initiating. Okay, so now we've stuck the battery in. I want to kind of put it so that the wires go into the body cavity here in the middle of the fuse. Alaj. And then I'm going to turn this battery sideways so that it gets good purchase, so it doesn't shift while we're flying, okay? I'm going to just pull that actually a little bit forward, but I've got a gap between the motor and the battery. The motor might get a little bit warm on this application, so I'm just going to be playing it on the safe side. Ooh. That's pretty cool, guys. Rudder, ailerons, so that's going to roll that way, that's going to roll that way. And then how do I turn off the Sixaxis? Okay. Here's how you can test. There you go. So to turn it off, to go to like 3D mode, oh, actually what that does is that resets your home position. the right trigger resets the home position. So that's the other way you can do that. So like if you want to tell it where level is, if you want this to be level, that might be like a return to home. I'm just trying to figure out how to toggle it off. Oh, low and high rates. Okay, so high rates, I'm in high rates. You press this left trigger for high rates, and it'll move the control surfaces a certain amount. And then when you go to low rates, it's going to move them slightly less, okay? It's hard to see here, but when you're flying, you'll notice, okay? So high rates. Oh, you see? Show them this. So when we're in low rates, there's a little L. Do you see this? There's a little L, and it indicates that the aileron is working. You see that? See how it goes to high? Can you see this at the same time?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's high, that's low. That's high. Okay, cool. So now, when you're taking off and you're new, you'll want to probably start in low rates. People that are new have a tendency to over-control planes. And then let's see. That doesn't tell me anything. So I have to figure out, I'm gonna go back to the Chinglish manual here, and we'll see if it says. So you want to pause it and we'll see if we can find that. Okay guys, so one confusing message from this is that there's a red light. There isn't a red light, it's a blue light on ours. When you press this, it starts flashing. That means you're in 3D like crazy mode. That means you just have stabilization and not auto leveling. The solid light means that you have auto leveling. Okay, so it's gonna let you basically throw this and it should more or less glide flat level. Okay, but when you press this, it's not gonna always attempt to flip you upright. Okay, so we're gonna see the difference on those two modes and whether or not it makes an impact in flight performance. And we're gonna do that next. Okay guys, one quick thing before we go out and actually do a quick flight. Okay, there's trimming on an airplane. So when you launch this plane, if you're new, it may want to veer to one side or the other, or it may want to lift or go nose down, or it may want to yaw. And there may be a combination of these effects. These little buttons will let you trim the remote control, just like back in the day when you were a kid and you had a remote controlled plane, or excuse me, a remote controlled car. Same thing, except you have each axis has its trim buttons, okay? So keep that in mind. So when you launch, my recommendation is to just launch it and see how it glides. And then you can use your right hand, and then your throttle's controlled by your thumb. You can use the rudder to kind of point the plane. So you just throw it, and it will just more or less go that direction. And then you can see how it responds. Throw it in an area where you got room. We're gonna fly now. Okay guys, so we're ready to launch. We've got some headwind coming at us. You always launch into the wind. And well, I'm not sure how this is gonna go. Make sure your throttle's working before you get it out of your hands, okay? So here we go. That thing feels pretty solid, guys. Got a lot of yaw correction to make. Okay, so I am currently in the Sixaxis mode, and look at this, guys. Hands off. Whoops, that's 3D mode. So now I can do whatever I want. Boy, that thing is pretty good. Not super powerful. So you'll want to keep that in mind. The rudder is overly sensitive the way I've configured it. So 6G mode is definitely more solid. Okay, so there's 6G mode. So it's not going to let you tip it over. See, that's limited bank angles. See, I've got full rudder. Yeah, you could maybe get it to tip over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, I'm in high rates. In low rates, this is what it would look like. Okay, so I'm way up there. I'm out of the throttle. I'm just gliding. Is the prop stopped? It's hard to tell.
I can't see it.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's just pointed into the wind. That 6G works pretty good. Need a little bit of trim to get it to go straight. And I just need to trim the rudder a little bit. I'm out of trim, so now that we'll have to get the rest with a mechanical adjustment. Okay, so it's really good gliding. Super good gliding, guys. Okay, into the power again. So I'm gonna bring it around and then back down the street, hon. Okay, going with the wind now. I'm gonna bring it down so we can actually see it here.
Okay, so fold down elevator, fold down elevator. Geez, that thing just like doesn't want to come down at all, guys. Look at that. Okay, so we'll go in circles. Okay, so using the rudder will yaw the craft. It'll help bleed off lift, okay? So here we go. Just coming by for a little pass. Power. It's crappy weather today, so I gotta admit, I would like to have some better weather. And being in the 6G mode definitely limits your elevator access a lot. So I'm gonna go out of the 6G mode, and there's down. I'm out of the down now. You can pretty much do whatever you want in 6G mode. Okay, so there's a simulated crash for you. So as you can see, it's not destroyed. Let's go pick it up and see what it looks like. Okay guys, so basically we noticed two things about that flight. One thing, when we landed, the tail got shifted, so you got to straighten that. That was super easy. We got a ding in the wing, okay? So that's no good. You can actually fix that with some warm water. Just pour it over there, actually hot water, or you can just peel it out with like a toothpick. And then the canopy popped off, okay? So the canopy can just be replaced. Simple as that, very easy. And the kids can go back to flying. I'm gonna warn you about this plane. The control axis are weak, meaning that when I throw this and I have somewhat of a wind, even though this thing does good pointing into the wind, you don't quite have enough authority to overwhelm the wind. Granted, it's not real comfortable out here right now. So I would say that on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of flight performance, I'd give this something like maybe a 6 or 7, because it's not a bad flying plane, but it's not going to be an overwhelmingly good flight experience. For somebody new that wants to learn to fly, it would be fun for the money, but it's still definitely going to be a little bit challenging because you have those limits of the system, and then you have the limits of the parameters of your weather. Do it in good weather, do it with a bigger place, and you'll be happy. But this is a fun plane, and it is a good value for the money. So get one today. Check the link in the description below. Help support the channel, and happy flying, guys. Have a Merry Christmas.